I gotta clean it. And it's crazy, and you can't even react. You can't go like, what the fuck, that's disgusting!
Merry Christmas. Yeah, I'm watching some Louis C.K. at the moment. And I'm a big fan. But what I'm going to talk about in this video has a slightly different genre. Slightly different theme, whatever. I am going to talk about some movies that I have been watching over the past week or two. I think I said that in the last part that I was going to do that for this part. And these are just movies that I've watched. Not not necessarily quality movies. When I look at the titles here, you know, it's not great movies, and there are no classics in the genre. But this is what I've been watching, and I thought that I would talk about them. I'm not sure if you can see them here now, but I'm gonna put them outside of the frame here. I guess I can talk about them in the order that I've watched them, actually. So let's just let's start with this. This is not a Christmas movie, but it is one that I've actually seen on some lists over the years when I've looked up, you know, best Christmas movies lists, because I've had a tendency of doing that over the years, not just with Christmas movies, but with movies as diverse as, you know, coziest Christmas movies to goriest movies, whatever. And I just like seeing lists of what people consider the most, whatever, in these genres. And I do that with other things too, not just film. But this is one that has been on some lists on the Christmas theme of those. I mean, you know, on some Christmas lists. You know what I mean. And I was kind of surprised at first, because I didn't think that this was going to be a Christmas movie. Well, at first, being, you know, years ago. And it's not either, but there is a fairly short segment at the end of this movie that takes place during Christmas. Anyway, the movie is Funny Farm with Chevy Chase. I don't even think I've shown this before. Usually I unbox most things that I show, or I show them in some sort of update video, but this one I don't believe I have shown. But yeah, I watched it a couple of weeks ago. I'm not sure exactly how long ago it's been, but it's basically just about Chevy Chase and his wife. They move out to the country, and he has a book to write, and he needs more peaceful environment, I guess, to do that. Anyway, then things don't really work out, and in the end, during Christmas season, it's about their. This is a vague. I guess it's a spoiler, but it's not really a spoilerific movie. But a spoiler coming up here. They split up, and so they're gonna sell the house to some, you know, some buyers, basically, and they want to, you know, basically the people in the town, they're crazy and eccentric, and if they did not distort the truth heavily, then nobody would want to buy that place. So I guess that's what they're thinking. So they hire the people in the village or the town, whatever, and they pay them to come across as nicer people, basically, and that takes place on Christmas. And yeah, so they guide the possible buyers through the town where Christmas activities is going on, but it's all fake, of course. But anyway, so that is the Christmas scene in this one, and I think I'm just gonna look it up on IMDb here, which is not gonna take long. I think maybe Chevy Chase made this movie right before Christmas Vacation. 1 second. Actually, he made two movies after. He made Fletch Lives and Caddyshack 2, but in the reverse order. So, but I was thinking that if he did Christmas Vacation right after this, and this movie ends with a Christmas setting, it would be a pretty good transition into Christmas Vacation. But okay, he actually did make two in between. They do get back together in the end. They never end up selling the house. Anyway, so that is that. Then we have a Swedish DVD, a Swedish movie, only 55 minutes. this is one that I bought because I've seen it as a kid. I don't really know. I don't really know how old I was when I saw this. It came out in 1999 apparently. I was 7 then. I don't think I saw it that early. Probably saw it a couple of years later. But I bought it because I thought it would be appropriate for the Christmas season. Obviously, I ended up watching it a little bit before the Christmas season, and also just fun to revisit old movies. It's called En liten julsaga, which translates to a little Christmas story, and it's about this girl. Well, this girl on the back, I was gonna say, but she's obviously on the front as well, and her teddy bear, which is also on the front, which is appropriate because it's about this little girl and her love towards her teddy bear. Yeah, this is what I've been watching. But she loses her teddy bear at the subway, and then basically she can't forget about that. She can't basically it takes up all of her well, anyway, she just wants her teddy bear back, and we follow the teddy bear as it just by coincidence and whatever works its way around sort of in a circle back to her, and so we see what happens to the teddy bear until it finally, by some sort of miraculous circumstance, finds its way back to this little girl at the end of the movie. I think appropriately on Christmas Eve. So it's pretty nice, but I wasn't really watching it. I was kind of on the laptop, on the internet, a little bit as I was watching it. But it's not bad. It's definitely one to watch over the holidays if you're gonna watch it. I don't know if it probably doesn't have any English subtitles. No, I don't know if you can find it with English subtitles. Maybe you can. Anyway, it's not like a must watch, but for me it was fun to watch again because I saw it so many years ago. Then we have a movie with Nicolas Cage that I've watched before. Well, no, there's a couple of rewatches here, including the last one. This one is called The Family Man, which you could argue whether or not you want to call this a Christmas movie, but there's a certain it's just a very fussy movie, you know. Basically, Nicolas Cage. I'm gonna try to go through this quick. In the beginning of the movie, he leaves for you know, on a business trip or whatever, and he promises his girlfriend or wife, whatever, Tia Leone's character, to come back soon, and they're gonna, you know, keep the relationship going. But then they jump ahead in time, and you find out that they split up. They ended up splitting up because Nicolas Cage pursued his career instead, and it's like 15 years later, and he is this, you know, he's working at this big corporation or at Wall Street. He's a big successful business guy, and that takes up all of his existence, and he likes it. But he, through a chance meeting, well, maybe not a chance meeting, but through a meeting on Christmas Eve, I think it must have been, he's just gonna buy some eggnog, and there's a robbery, and what's his name? It doesn't say here. Don Cheadle. He robs the store. Well, he doesn't know, actually, that's not true. He doesn't rob the store. He has a lottery ticket. This doesn't really matter, but he has a lottery ticket, and the guy at the register is a racist, I guess, and he doesn't want to look at the lottery ticket because he's black. And so Don Cheadle takes up his gun and says, "Look at the fucking ticket. It's a winning ticket," or whatever. And but anyway, Nicolas Cage ends up buying the ticket from him, and then they have a discussion where, honestly, I don't remember how the discussion went, but it was a little bit confusing to me because well, not confusing, but it was very vague. But basically, the next day, well, Nicolas Cage, he goes to sleep, and on Christmas morning, on the 25th, he wakes up. However, now it's in an alternative reality. He wakes up with Tia Leone, and apparently they've been married for these past 15 years. And he wakes up to a life that could have been. And but he obviously, he's still the person who has been, you know, living on Wall Street for all these years, and he has no idea what's going on, why he's waking up here. But yeah, so his you know, his personality, whatever, is that of the Wall Street guy, but obviously he is the person who has been living, you know, physically and whatever, who has been living with Tia Leone for 15 years, and they have a couple kids. And he wakes up to that life, and he sort of has to figure out what's going on, I guess. And it's a pretty funny movie. And the reason why he wakes up, Don Cheadle's character, I don't know, he comes across as some sort of, you know, if you've seen A Christmas Carol, he comes across as some sort of ghost of Christmas, what could have been, or whatever, you know. He's some sort of character who, apparently he's done this with other people, I think, shown people what could have been, or whatever, what they maybe missed out on, or stuff like that, I don't know. But yeah, so the movie follows Nicolas Cage in with his new family, I guess, and it's the reason why it's a Christmas movie is, of course, because he wakes up on Christmas Day. But it starts there, but then it moves on away from Christmas, you know, as he keeps living his life in this new world, and he doesn't really tell anyone. He doesn't tell his wife that I mean, I'm not supposed to be here, you know. He tries to deal with it himself, but anyway. And then it moves on from Christmas. However, at the end, he is transported back, I guess, to the real world, or to his actual life, you could say, not the alternative world, and then so he wakes up again on Christmas morning on the 25th in real life, I guess, and you don't really know if it's a dream or if it actually well, it didn't actually happen, because obviously they've jumped back to his other life now, but you don't really know what if if he just dreamt it all, because he wakes up again in the morning, so he could have made, you know, dreamt this all up in during the night, I guess, if that's what's going on, or if Don Cheadle's character really did show him an alternative reality somehow. I think you know what I'm trying to say, hopefully. But so he looks up Tia Leone's character, and the movie ends with them, you know, having a cup of coffee together. Not a cup of coffee, but they're talking together at a restaurant or whatever, at an airport, where he stops her. That was I said that I was going to be brief. You can go back and use that against me. I was not brief, but that's what the movie is about. That's what happens, and I guess the coziness of Christmas morning, somehow the whole cozy atmosphere of the movie somehow keeps going throughout the rest of the movie. It's just this whole reality of him living in an alternative reality that somehow feels it's very cozy. I said that in the last video, that I was gonna say the word cozy a lot, and indeed. But I like it a lot. I think I've seen this a few times before, and when I first saw it, I just fell in love with it, and the subsequent couple of times I really liked it as well. And then I rewatched it again sometime a little bit more recently, maybe 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I don't know. And I did not like it as much, but now I like it as much again, all over again. And it's just a great movie, I think, and I think you should check it out this year if you haven't seen it. Oh, sorry, one more thing. When he meets Tia Leone again at the end, his wife, obviously she doesn't know, or you know, she hasn't seen him in 15 years, and she doesn't know that he has relived a few months of their what could have been life. Should have mentioned that, but yeah, okay. Okay, this next movie I did not actually watch all the way through. I watched maybe 15 minutes because it looked really bad, and I just didn't feel like watching it, but I thought that I would show it. I'm not gonna get back to it, so it's Santa with Muscles. Since I didn't watch it, I guess I can't talk about it, and I didn't really follow along with what happened either in the beginning. I didn't really pay attention, and it was late. I just put it on of some reason, and I was like, what the hell am I doing? Why am I watching this? However, I'm gonna lose credibility because these two next movies, they're not very good either. But I still watch them and enjoy them. But they at least have better production values than Santa with Muscles. First one is is Jack Frost with Michael Keaton. This one is about he dies, which is a great way of starting a review. It's not a, well, I have spoiled the other two, but that's actually not a spoiler because that sort of is the premise for the whole movie. Michael Keaton dies. He's on his way, basically on his way back to his family to celebrate Christmas, and he dies on his way. And then it basically jumps forward 1 year ahead in time, right before Christmas the next year. And Michael Keaton, he comes back as a snowman. Michael Keaton's name is Jack Frost, by the way. And he comes back as a snowman, and that's basically the movie. And he, strikes up a relationship again with his son. And the snowman lives, I guess, on the lawn outside of their house. And the mom, the wife, doesn't know what's going on. But that's basically it. And it's a strange movie. It's pretty bizarre, but it was somehow strangely enjoyable. I don't know. It just has it's very artificial. The street they live. Just to begin with, a random thing here that I was thinking about. The street they live in, first of all. I mean, it looks okay. I mean, it looks like it took some money to build it, because it's definitely a set, but it's very artificial somehow, and it's very narrow in what it focuses on. It doesn't really show any of the neighbors. It's just a very appears to be a very, very desolate street, and it's just depressing. And the movie is a little bit depressing. You know, it's not surprising because the dad dies and he doesn't come back to life or anything, apart from this snowman. But that's not permanent. The snowman goes away with the snow later. So it's a pretty sad movie. But but I don't think that needs to be reflected in something like that. Which I'm not saying it was. Maybe they just did a bad job with that. But either way, I just didn't like that. It just felt very obvious to me anyway. Maybe not everyone will think about that. I don't know, but that street I don't know. They could have had some more activity going on, to me. But that's not what the focus is. The focus is between the relationship. The focus is the relationship between Michael Keaton's new existence as this snowman and the son. And it's also very strange when he comes back to life, I guess. He's not very surprised that he is apparently a snowman all of a sudden. He sees his reflection in the mirror, or in the window, when he tries to get inside of the house, because I guess he thinks that he is still a human. I don't know. But he sees that he's a snowman, and you'd think that his reaction would be a little bit different. I mean, I don't remember exactly how he reacts, but he's like, okay, so I'm a snowman. Okay, let's see. He's like trying to deal with that in a pretty sensible manner, or in a pretty. He's being pretty realistic about it, and that's not very realistic. And It doesn't have to be realistic, because it's not realistic that he comes back as a snowman in the first place. I'm just saying that his reaction was, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. So, but anyway, like I said, it's strangely enjoyable. It's I don't think I might not return to it, but I can see why people would. It's just not a movie. I want to be cheered up, I guess, when I watch Christmas movies, and this one is not a cheerful movie. It ends with redemption, but it's a sad ending. So not a depressing ending, but an emotional, sentimental ending, So I don't want to watch that right before celebrating with my family. I want to watch something more like Christmas Vacation, which to me is well. All right, I have one more to talk about, and this one is rather shitty too. I'm not sure which is the worst movie, Jack Frost or this one. They're both pretty bad, but maybe in slightly different ways. I don't know. This one is Santa Claus 3. This one has a pretty big budget. I don't remember what happened in the second one. I did watch the first Santa Claus with Tim Allen. I think it must have been last year, pretty sure. But the second one I haven't seen in a long time, so I don't remember what happened there. The transition between the first and the third, I don't really know. However, in this one, we find him as Santa Claus working at the North Pole with his wife, but his son is not there. No, he's in the real world. Yeah, and not everybody knows that he's Santa Claus. I guess his wife's, Mrs. Claus's parents thinks that he's a toy maker in Canada, and that's pretty essential to the plot of this movie, because the parents, being Alan Arkin and who I don't know who that was. See if I can find the name here. Anne Margaret, it says. Yeah, Tim Allen's character's in-laws. They invite them to celebrate Christmas with them, but they don't tell them that he's Santa Claus, and somehow they don't figure out. They're somehow they arrive in the North Pole, but they haven't figured out that they're in the North Pole. Although, you know, I guess the explanation for that in the movie is that they give the in-laws, or the parents, some sort of not sleeping pills, but they make them unconscious somehow on their trip, and they tell them that they fell asleep, I guess. And when they arrive, they have no memory of traveling there, but still, it would, you know, it's pretty obvious that it's not. Anyway, it's Santa's workshop, you know, it's the North Pole, and they don't figure that out. But anyway, who cares? That's part of the plot, but also obviously Martin Short is on the cover playing Jack Frost, but I guess a different kind of Jack Frost. I mean, he's the bringer of winter, I guess. And he says something funny that I actually really liked. He says that, you know, all the attention goes to you. I'm just sort of the opening act for you. You know, I bring the winter, and then you come with the headlining number or whatever, the headlining the main act on Christmas. I just kind of like that, and he's kind of bitter about that. He wants to be Christmas. He wants to be Santa Claus, so he ends up being Santa Claus through somehow deceiving Tim Allen. It doesn't really matter what he does, but he ends up being able to become Santa Claus, and that's it really. I mean, and then there's some sort of travel back in time to the first movie, which was vaguely interesting at best, but overall the focus of the movie is kind of unclear. I mean, not unclear. It's about him trying to get back to his position as Santa Claus, and then there's this thing with the parents in the background. But when the time travel thing arrives, it does so pretty late in the movie, and it doesn't really matter, you know. Let's just leave it. But it's not very good. I don't remember liking I remember not liking the second one, and this one is probably just as bad. But it was just somehow enjoyable, not strangely enjoyable as, like I said, with Jack Frost, but just enjoyable, just not very good, but still rather funny. Alright, I've talked way longer than I thought I would, but I have one more title that I'm gonna speed through here. And this is one of the Christmas calendars, so-called Christmas calendars, that is aired between December 1st and December 24th, which I've mentioned many times over the years. Which we have done in Sweden as a tradition for many years, and in others, I think maybe in Norway they do that, maybe Denmark, I'm not quite sure. And this is the one for 2007, and I actually have a few episodes left, but these are I've seen most of it, and I think I've seen it before too, because in 2007 I was 15, so I was a little bit too old for these kids shows, because these shows, they're all pretty kid-oriented, you know. They're not exactly family entertainment, they're mainly just kid entertainment, kids shows. But I've enjoyed revisiting some of these older ones, at least older for me, because I saw them when I was a kid, and it's the same principle as this thing, I guess, or you know, same thing. And this one I was 15, so I was a little bit too old for. I'm a little I mean, at 15 I would have been too old for me to now experience that as nostalgia. As well, anyway, I was simply a little bit too old to watch these shows, and I don't think I watched it. But I wanted to see it now again because it has some good actors in it. But they ended up having pretty minor parts and not very interesting parts. And I ended up not enjoying this too much, partly because it's simply not as good as some of the classics for me. But also because, of course, it doesn't give me any nostalgia. It doesn't remind me of watching it as a kid. But some of those older ones, they are actually pretty good. Not just because of nostalgia, but this one really is pretty weak. And I have a few episodes left. They're pretty short. There are 24 episodes, obviously, or 25 maybe. No, 24. But they're pretty short. They're about 10 to 15 minutes, so it doesn't take too long to watch a show. But I have a few left, and I think that I'm just gonna finish them. I will finish them, but I'm not gonna enjoy it. It's not dreadful, but it's not great. This one. It doesn't really matter too much what it's about. My leg is completely asleep right now. But it's about this girl. She wants a real Christmas. Her mother is not on the cover here, but she is basically the neighbor is a guy who her mother basically likes, and the daughter doesn't like the fact that they like each other. She wants to celebrate Christmas only with her mother, as they've done before, always, and she doesn't want he to be a part of their Christmas. So her Christmas wish is a real Christmas, and she sends that, and Santa, it arrives at Santa's place, and this elf here, right there, obviously that's Santa, and then that elf is sent to the real world or whatever to help this girl with her wish. And every episode follows them as they try to sabotage the relationship between the mother and the boyfriend. Like, well, he's not really the boyfriend until the ending, I guess. But anyway, that's it. And it's just pretty uninteresting. It's just poor writing for the most part, to me anyway. But it is, of course, a kids show, so. Alright. I'm gonna get back to studying. Wrong way. For decades, the Spanish cinema was associated almost exclusively with the work of Luis Buñuel, who was, paradoxically, the quintessential artist in exile for most of his career. No. But that's what I'm gonna do now. Oops. So, wish me luck, and yeah, hope you enjoyed this video, although it was way longer than I than I expected. I was thinking maybe 15 minutes, but I'm thinking now it's maybe more like 25, maybe more, I don't know. But anyway, I'll put these aside. Right here I have the stack of movies I've watched. Actually, this one I need to keep, because like I said, there's a few more episodes to go. But yeah, still already a pretty big stack of movies that I've watched this year so far. But there's, you know, almost a month to go, so. And if I do this, you can see the Christmas movies that I have left, and we'll see if I'll get through all of those, but chances are that I won't. But anyway, most of them for sure. Alright, but that's it. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.